Greetings and welcome to another Pokemon 2019 or Pokemon Journeys anime episode review. This time I am talking about episode 140, which is episode 4 of Aim to Be a Pokemon Master. So, let's get to it. In this episode, Ash, Misty, and Brock are, in the narrator's own words, in a certain mountain that gets perennial snow. They are here to watch the rare spectacle of a Magikarp climbing a waterfall. Ash soon excitedly sends out Oshawott so that he can watch the event as well. Oshawott is clearly looking forward to this, though he soon gets a loving embrace from Misty, who exclaims that Oshawott is cute. So, they all keep going until they finally reach the waterfall, which, unfortunately for them, is frozen. Therefore, no Magikarp waterfall climbing for them. This disappoints Ash, who comforts Oshawott, believing that he is depressed too. However, Oshawott does not despair. Instead, he tries to break the ice, encasing the waterfall using Razor Shell. Pikachu soon follows suit by using Iron Tail. As they do this, they are watched from behind a tree by a Beartic, who has quite the menacing expression. While Oshawott and Pikachu do their best, they cannot break the ice. Oshawott then slips, which makes him lose his Scalchop, since it escapes his grasp and it is launched deep into the forest behind, where Beartic catches it. Beartic kindly returns the Scalchop just as Pikachu and Oshawott are looking for it. They are both happy to find it, especially Oshawott, though their happiness soon turns into fear when they notice the intimidating Beartic that is staring them down. Though Pikachu overcomes this fear in order to thank Beartic for finding the Scalchop. This is adorable. Ash, Misty, and Brock soon arrive, and they are equally frightened by Beartic. But noticing that Pikachu thanked Beartic, Ash realizes that Beartic found the Scalchop, and he excitedly thanks Beartic as well, who is at first shocked by Ash's excitement, though it soon calms down, and it releases a cloud of ice that freezes Ash, Pikachu, and Oshawott in place. Upon seeing this, Beartic runs away with a sad expression while leaving behind ice pillars. Noticing Beartic's sorrow, Ash wants to chase after it, but he can't due to the ice. So he sends out Talonflame, who uses its ability, Flame Body, to melt the ice. But Ash is still unable to chase Beartic due to the ice pillars, which block the way. So in the meantime, Ash has Talonflame chase after Beartic instead, with Pikachu and Oshawott tagging along. Ash then sends out Snorlax and Incineroar, who use Mega Punch and the Darkest Lariat respectively to carve a path through the ice pillars, with Misty's Starmie and Brock's Fortress soon lending a hand. Meanwhile, Talonflame, Pikachu, and Oshawott continue to chase Beartic, but their pursuit is brought to an end when Beartic turns to them with its intense icy breath, which freezes them solid. Ash, Misty, Brock, and their Pokemon soon catch up, only to find not only Talonflame, Pikachu, and Oshawott frozen in place, but also a bunch of wild Pokemon that live in the area. Thankfully, Incineroar uses Fire Blast to melt the ice, thus freeing all the Pokemon. The wild Pokemon all run away, while Ash tends to his Pokemon. Ash then looks for Beartic, who is timidly hiding behind a tree, though it soon leaves its hiding spot. But its overwhelming icy breath, which creates a bunch of ice pillars, forces all the non-fire type Pokemon to be withdrawn, except for Pikachu and Oshawott. Incineroar and the Talonflame stay out to keep everyone else nice and warm. Ash says that Beartic cannot control its ice powers, but that it is amazing since it can freeze so much with just one breath. Ash even likens Beartic to cure him. Ash goes on to say that he loves Beartic's power, and he decides, with the help of Pikachu and Oshawott, to train Beartic so that it can learn to control its power. Ash and Pikachu proceed to teach Beartic how to focus its power, with Misty and Brock watching. They both admire Ash for still loving and caring so much about Pokemon, while Beartic does its best to apply what Ash and Pikachu teach it, and it looks like it's about to succeed. It sadly ends up failing, which causes an explosion of ice that hilariously freezes everyone except Talonflame and Incineroar, who also keep Misty and Brock safe. Incineroar then uses Fire Blast to melt the ice. After being released from the ice, Ash encourages a depressed Beartic, but Oshawott soon has the idea to have Beartic make a Scalchop out of ice, since focusing on making a fine shape will serve as good training for power concentration. Like before, Beartic does its best, and it almost succeeds. But unfortunately, just like before, its efforts end in failure, which causes another explosion of ice. Though this time, Incineroar and the Talonflame keep everyone unfrozen. Ash says that Beartic is amazing, and that it should not give up. It should keep training, which Beartic does. It continues to work on making a Scalchop as everyone else watches, with the wild Pokemon in the area soon joining the audience out of curiosity. With Ash's fervent encouragement, Beartic finally makes a Scalchop, which makes it very happy. However, unfortunately, this success is short-lived, since Beartic soon loses control, and the Scalchop explodes, creating ice pillars, freezing nearby trees, and even freezing Incineroar and the Talonflame, who managed to keep everyone else unfrozen. This latest failure makes Beartic lose all hope, and in its despair, it runs away until it reaches the middle of a barren field of ice. Here, Beartic screams into the sky out of sadness and frustration, while unleashing an unrelenting breath of ice. Concerned, Ash, Pikachu, and Oshawott run up to Beartic. Ash embraces Beartic while telling it not to worry, that it almost had it and that it can do it. However, Beartic does not calm down. It continues to roar until the ice beneath them shatters, which makes all four of them fall into a cavern. Pikachu and Oshawott manage to emerge from the ice on their own. Beartic soon follows suit while holding Ash, who thanks Beartic for saving him. Unfortunately, Ash twisted his ankle when they fell. He says that Beartic can still make it out by climbing up the wall using its claws. And since he can't move, he tells Beartic to take Pikachu and Oshawott with it. Beartic honors Ash's request However, it refuses to leave Ash behind. And so, with everyone on its back, Beartic begins to climb up the wall. Meanwhile, Incineroar and the Talonflame manage to unfreeze themselves, and they join Misty and Brock, who are overlooking the fissure in the ground. Beartic eagerly continues to climb the wall. However, unfortunately, just as they are about to reach the surface, the piece of wall Beartic is holding on to crumbles, and so they fall. But thankfully, Beartic uses its breath to create a pillar of ice, which allows them to avoid falling all the way back down. Ash praises Beartic because in a crisis, it was able to control its power and find a solution. Ash then says that Beartic now needs to use its power to get them out, and that he believes in Beartic. So, with Ash's direction and further encouragement, Beartic manages to create several ice pillars, which it uses as footholds to climb all the way up, which delights everyone on the surface. While Brock tends to Ash's ankle, Pikachu tells the wild Pokemon, who are still watching from behind the trees, that they don't need to fear Beartic anymore, since it can now control its power. In order to prove this, Oshawott tells Beartic to make a Scalchop, which Beartic finally manages to do without issues. It then adorably mimics Oshawott by putting the ice Scalchop on its chest, which delights Oshawott. However, the wild Pokemon are still afraid. That is, until a Bellsprout excitedly runs up to Beartic in order to ask for an ice Scalchop. Beartic obliges and, adorably, Bellsprout is delighted and it also puts the Scalchop on its chest. So it's officially part of the Scalchop Club. This finally makes the other wild Pokemon lose their fear, and they happily run up to Beartic so that they can get ice Scalchops as well. We then see that Latias is flying overhead. She once again witnessed the resolution of the conflict or problem in the episode in question. And like before, she soon flies away. The episode ends with Beartic and the other wild Pokemon watching a Magikarp climb up the now unfrozen waterfall. So, that's the short but detailed summary of the episode. Now it's time to highlight, analyze, and comment on my favorite moments and or moments that are noteworthy/interesting. First, I have to say that I love the story of this episode. Ash saw a Pokemon that was sad, and he proceeded to go out of his way to help said Pokemon. He went the extra mile for a Pokemon that is not even his, which was really touching. Beartic was cool, no pun intended. Its ordeal was genuinely compelling, and I am glad that it was able to learn how to control its power with the help of Ash, Pikachu, and Oshawott, since I was actively rooting for Beartic to succeed. Next, I love that we got to see Oshawott, Talonflame, Incineroar, and the Snorlax again in this episode. Incineroar especially really needed the chance to shine, since this episode marks the first time we see it in action after its evolution. It's great that it learned Darkest Lariat, that it got to use it and the Fire Blast to attack, and that it played such an active role in the episode. Talonflame also got plenty of time to shine, which is nice, even if it only served as a sentient heater. Sadly though, Snorlax did not get to do much. As for Oshawott, well, I think that he was just way too adorable in this episode, especially when he was encouraging Beartic, and he was also quite funny as well. Additionally, as with every episode after the first in this mini-series thus far, it's great that Latias is still following Ash and witnessing all his good deeds. She will very likely decide that Ash is worthy of being her trainer. Now, unfortunately, in the end, despite all the good things in this episode, it took a huge tumble at the end, because Ash bonded and connected deeply with Beartic. He helped, supported, trained, and encouraged Beartic a lot, and Beartic ended up helping Ash in the end as well. And yet, despite all of this, Ash did not catch Beartic, which is a terrible waste and a big missed opportunity. Ash really should have caught it, especially since Ice is a type Ash lacks. He only has Glalie, with Lapras being the only other Ice-type Pokemon he has ever owned. It's honestly baffling that Ash does not get to catch a Pokemon after an episode like this, when Go would catch Pokemon mere seconds after meeting them. I understand that this late in the game, and with Ash on his way out as protagonist, Beartic would not get much time to shine. But still, I think that Ash deserved to catch Beartic, and I absolutely hate that this did not happen. We did not even get a farewell scene between them, likely because it would make Ash not catching Beartic an even harder pill to swallow. But those are my thoughts on and analysis of the episode. Now it's time to bring this review to a close by going over my overall opinion of the episode. So, overall, I think that this episode was very good. Easily my favorite episode of this mini-series thus far. From the compelling and endearing story featuring a cool and lovable Pokemon, to the meaningful and enjoyable return of several great Pokemon, this episode was certainly amazing, and I very much enjoyed it. However, Ash not catching Beartic prevents me from loving the episode completely and wholeheartedly. This greatly disappointed me, and it unfortunately both soured the episode and knocked it down quite a few points. But that's the review and the video. So, as always, leave your own thoughts down in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did and would like to see more like it, then please consider subscribing to my channel. I love Pokemon and I love making videos on both the anime and the games. Also, please consider clicking the links on screen so that you can check out more videos like this right away. Thank you very much for watching, and let's meet again in the next video.